this day in history, in 1961, the city of Goose Creek was officially incorporated as a town. This came after nearly 500 residents voted on the move. The purpose of this was to bring order and rapid residential growth and provide services like sanitation. In the early 1670s, the region of Goose Creek became known as home to the Goose Creek Men. These men established a trade route with the Native Americans, trading goods from cloth to guns and ammunition. By the 18th century, Goose Creek was a prosperous and popular area for rice production. The town continued to experience population growth, measuring a population of 2,787 in the first U.S. Census in 1790. The city grew from a small town into one of Berkeley County's largest cities, transitioning from a Navy-dependent town to a diverse residential community. The first mayor of Goose Creek was Hilton W. Bunch.